Okay. Hey guys, I want to talk to you today about your top tips of what a thin eater does to stay thin. Okay. Tip number one is to eat when you're hungry. I know this sounds crazy and people are like, duh, eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full. But eating when you're hungry is not that common with people because everyone seems to be eating when it's dinner time or when it's lunchtime or when something looks good. And so, what a thin eater does is they make sure that they wait till their stomach growls or until they're truly hungry to eat. Now, sometimes people won't wait until their stomach growls until the second meal of the day. So, for me, I always wait until a level zero for me to eat. So, below on the screen, the you'll see the hunger scale below on the screen. And so we never should be eating unless we're actually hungry. Now, there's different levels of hunger, right? So there's a level zero, level one, or level two. All of those are hungry. A level zero is where you're hamster hungry. Now, in my second edition of my book, I didn't talk about hamster hungry because in my first edition, I talked about it, and some people who are vegans were like, that's mean. So let me tell you what happened. When I was in elementary school, one of my friends, I went over to her house and she had told me that her hamster had eaten the babies. She had gone on vacation, and when she had come back, she forgot to, I guess, to give the hamster very much food, and she just literally forgot to feed them. And so the hamster ate their babies. So some people didn't like when I talked about that, but that is a true story and it happens all the time. Actually, if you type into Google hamster eating their babies, you will see millions of hits on that because that means so many times that this has happened. So when you're hamster hungry or when you're ravenously hungry, or I also call it hungry, hungry, hippo hungry. So remember that game, Hungry, Hungry Hippo, where they were just trying to eat all those balls? That is a level zero. So a level one is where your stomach is growling. You're actually feeling your stomach growl. You're hearing it rumble. And number two is where you are hungry, but you're not quite all the way empty, but you're pretty close. So in my opinion, you should only eat your first meal at a level 0 or 1. And your second meal, you could be at a level 1 or a 2. So you want your natural tendency to be only when you're truly, truly hungry and never eat beyond fullness. Your goal should be to make your body, instead of being in willpower mode, it's in autopilot mode. Get to the place where you're not even thinking about things to eat. Look, when you're not hungry, you're not thinking about food. You're only thinking about food when your body is physically hungry. Now, you're capable of bypassing your initial hunger pangs and waiting until true hunger to eat. In fact, you can wait a couple of hours after the growl if you can. The longer you wait to eat, the further you're pressing into fat burning zone. You'll eventually train your body to get used to an eating schedule. Mine is noon to 6. Obviously, I don't always keep that schedule because if I go to a nice dinner, it's going to be after 6. So on those days, I might start my eating window at 2 and then be done by 8 or 9. Now, if you're not hearing your stomach growl, then that more than likely means that you ate too much at your last meal. It's possible to go as long as 48 hours before reaching stomach hunger when you come off your binge. Most people will never hear their stomach growl simply because they're constantly eating. They're never reaching an empty stomach. Keeping this in mind, you should eat smaller meals so that you can reach the point of true hunger. If you eat the right amount of food, you will be hungry when it's time to eat again. Now, one of my friends, I want you to hear what she says, Catherine Muldoon, about how she loves to hear her stomach growl.
Do I ever eat when I'm not hungry? Sometimes I'll eat out of entertainment, but I realize it's not good for me, so I try not to. Because I feel like when you're just sitting there like eating.
If I'm not hungry, I can't eat. If I don't enjoy the food, I shouldn't be eating it. And if I know sometimes people, take it personally, thinking that, I'm not eating because I don't like their cooking or I don't, but I do eat when I'm hungry. And they do realize that. And thank God most of the people around me have gotten to know me. When I say I'm not hungry, I mean it.
So in terms of hunger scale, I would say, I mean, we're so fortunate that, we're not starving. Like we have food, it's at our disposal whenever we want it. So I would say I kind of eat when I'm hungry. We plan our meals. We have the morning, lunch, and dinner time meals and snack in between. But hunger scale, I mean, I'm never starving because I think it's usually around the time that we're about to eat that I have that opportunity to eat something.
Where I start eating on the hunger scale for me is obviously I do it by time. So when I wake up in the morning 6 or 7 and my body's just automatically up at that time, sometimes I don't feel hungry, so I don't eat until 11 or so. And even when doing that, I don't extend my eating hours at night because when I eat carbs past like 6 or 7, it's just too much for me.
So one of my friends, Christy, she's mastered the art of not eating at functions if she's not hungry, but she still has so much gratitude and love for food. So for example, one time she had a friend, or it was one of her students because she teaches, and she said, "Oh, here's one of my desserts. I handmade it." And she was like, "Oh, thank you so much. I'm not hungry right now, but I can't wait to take this home and eat it." And then later on, she brought it home. And then once she was actually hungry and thought it was delicious, and then the next day, she told her student, "Thank you so much for making it." Another example that Christy has is that she has this guacamole. So I love guacamole. She loves guacamole, and I make the best guacamole hands down. It's like delicious. And we have this thing called Thursday Fun Day. And every time I'd bring it, everyone, it would be like herds of people. They'd be like, "Oh my gosh, Chantel's guacamole." And so they'd come. And so what she would do is she would grab the guacamole, put it in the refrigerator. And we were always like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Well, I'm not hungry right now, but when I am hungry, I want to make sure there's guacamole left. So I'm not going to eat it right now, but I'm going to save it in the refrigerator." Isn't that a great story? Now, one of my other friends, Stephanie, I told her that she could practice the same technique at her church functions. And she said that she felt like if she didn't eat it right then, that the hostess was not going to feel like I liked it. And that's what she needs to do. She needs to say to the hostess, "I'm not hungry right now. I know it's small group right now, but are you okay? I'm going to take a little bit of it home. As soon as I'm hungry, I'm going to eat it. And then I'll send you a text about how great it is." That's a perfect example. All right, tip number 2, eat the very best first. Thin eaters only eat what they really, really love, and they try to eat that first. So what they do is they actually taste and rate each food on their plate. The average eater tastes something that he or she likes, and they're like, "I don't like it," but they just feel like they have to clean their plate. So let's give an example. Let's say that you had a piece of fish, and then you had mashed potatoes, broccoli, and then a salad. If you really want the mahi-mahi on your plate, then eat that first. And then, if you really want the mashed potatoes, eat that first. But the problem is if you eat the broccoli and the salad and the vegetables first, and then let's say you're full from that, then you're like, "Oh my gosh, this mahi-mahi was really expensive." Or let's say it was steak, and you're like, "I got a filet. This was a $45 filet. I don't want it to go to waste." Well, what a thin eater does, if they like the steak first, then they'll eat the steak. Then they want the mashed potatoes. A lot of people think, "Oh my gosh, I have to eat my salad first." But you know what? If the salad comes out first and you really don't want the salad, then don't waste all your calories on the salads. Don't waste your calories on the salad. Eat what you really, really want. Start rating the foods on your plate. Like, just do the best parts. Like, for example, I like the edge of the brownies instead of the middle. So I should just eat the edges. I don't have to eat the whole thing. Like, I know that some people love the croutons on their salad. Well, if that's what they love first, then eat that. But here's the thing. Make sure you're eating what you love first. Some people say that you're required to eat everything on your plate because there's starving children in other parts of the world. I don't believe that. All the extra food we eat is causing heart disease, diabetes, and way more things that are more worse than just throwing the food in the trash. So, is it better to get health problems because you're overeating or just to throw the food away? I think to just throw the food away. So Exodus 16, 1-5 says the whole Israelite community set out from Elim and came to the desert of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month after they had come out of Egypt. In the desert, the whole community grumbled against Moses and Aaron. The Israelites said to them, "If only we had died by the Lord's hand in Egypt. There we sat around pots of meat and ate all the food we wanted. But you have brought us into this desert to starve this entire assembly to death." Then the Lord said to Moses, "I will rain down bread from heaven for you. The people are to go out each day and gather enough for that day. In this way, I will test them and see whether they will follow my instructions. On the sixth day, they are to prepare what they bring in, and that is to be twice as much as they gather on other days." What's key to this passage is that God said, only fill you up for that day. You don't need to be greedy and start getting more and more and more. That doesn't mean you can't have leftovers. It means that you're only eating enough to fill your body. Now, to make sure that you're eating only what you want, I want you to use my enjoyment scale. Now, 5-star means this is the best thing you've ever had. 4 stars means this is a party in your mouth. 3 stars means it's pretty good. 2 is and 1 star, not very good. So on a scale of 1 to 4, you only want to eat foods that are a level 4 or 5 on your enjoyment scale. You shouldn't even waste your calories on anything beneath that. If the steak and potatoes are your 5s, then eat them first. Once you're full, you don't have to eat anything more. You're done. Now, my friend Christy went on vacation to Italy. She said when she got back, I said, "Did you gain weight?" She's like, "I ate pasta every night and I lost 4 pounds." I'm like, "How is that possible?" Well, she never ate breakfast. They walked everywhere they went, and she ate pasta for 7 nights, but she never overate. Christy likes pasta, but on average, she only eats it 1 to 2 times a week when she craves it. Now, going to Italy was a different thing. She doesn't normally eat pasta 7 nights a week. And she doesn't eat anything that's not on a 4 or 5 on the enjoyment scale.
If I don't love it, I'm probably not eating it. I have a friend that will take a bite of something like, "Oh, let's try this. We went to this little bakery, it's a little outing. Oh, this is, it's okay." And finish it. And finish it. How can you eat that?
Next tip, stop when you are full. Let's talk how to be a skilled thin eater. Don't you want to do that? You want to stop before you're full. Now, you want to stop eating before you're tired. You should have energy when you're finished eating. If you're like dozing off and super tired, or you're having to go on the couch, you're having to unbutton your pants, you have eaten too much. Another tip is to get the food out of your sight. When you're full, you need to stop eating and get the food out of your sight. If you're a restaurant, ask for a to-go box immediately, put it in a container and wrap it to go. If you're home, put the leftovers in the fridge and pray for God to remove the desire for you to eat any more food.
Like magic. I guess when you are in that battle in the moment of,
Should I eat it or should I not?
just, if you're even thinking about it, then you're probably full. Just put it down and then push it away.
Right.
Like you have to physically separate yourself. I don't have to do that very often, but sometimes.
If it's really, really
If it's
good.
something that's really, really good, but I'm getting full, then it's, has to go away. Or I'll say, take this away from me because
Yes.
I don't want to eat any more of it. It was good. I enjoyed it, but I'm not going to enjoy it anymore in the next 3 bites than I have already enjoyed it.
I would say I definitely have to make myself stop when I feel just satisfied because, I know me personally, I can definitely, I love food, so I could keep eating much further, but then afterwards I'm going to feel overstuffed. I'm going to feel like I probably ate too much where I'm not going to be maintaining. Well, I think too, that goes back to the portion control because when you put a certain amount of food on your plate, you just kind of have the idea that you need to finish it. So I think it goes back to just putting those smaller portions originally because there'll be times where I'm eating, I'm satisfied, but there's still a few bites left where can I eat those? Yeah, of course, but then I'm going to feel stuffed. Well, when it comes to eating at home, I would say I'm pretty good about just getting the appropriate portion to begin with, so I don't get stuck in that problem. But when I go out to eat, if it's a huge salad or a huge bowl of pasta or whatever it is, sometimes I'll actually have the waiter bring me a to-go box right in the beginning. I'll package half of it up, and then I'm excited because I have a whole meal for lunch tomorrow or something, and then also I just know what I'm going to eat on my plate.
I stop eating when I'm comfortable. I just want to feel satiated. I don't want to feel uncomfortable. And when I eat too much, I feel uncomfortable. When you're paying attention to what you're eating, you can start noticing like, okay, I'm getting just slightly uncomfortable. It's just like the most minute amount of discomfort.
When I eat quickly, sometimes I eat beyond full. And then I am, oh my gosh, I feel miserable.
How do I know I'm full? I kind of just listen to my body again. A lot of people tend to feel bloated. It's natural to get bloated when you eat, but I feel like people need to learn how to listen to their own body, because your body will naturally tell you, like, no, do not continue eating, or you can have a little bit more. I don't try to overeat. If I feel like, okay, this is kind of filling me up, I kind of try to stop there, because feeling super full just will naturally not make you feel good at all. So I don't like making my body feel that way.
Number 4, understand the 20-minute principle. Understand it takes 20 minutes after eating to realize that you're actually full. Now, for me, there's no way I can spend 20 minutes eating unless I'm at a nice restaurant and they have an appetizer and then a break and all of that. But I have to work on this on a regular basis. So one of the things you can do is set a timer. You can put your fork down after each bite. You can get on the phone if you're by yourself so that you can be talking. You've got to keep yourself busy, maybe take a break. It's really important that you just slow down. Number 5 is remember the consequences. You know all the negative consequences overeating brings, and you know how uncomfortable it makes you. So you just don't want to do that again. Now, a lot of you guys know my son Kyle is my absolute pride and joy. He eats just like someone who is a skilled thin eater. At 8 years old, he knows not to eat any more than what it takes for him to be full. His sense of satiety is so strong. Satiety is the feeling of being satisfied. To help yourself recognize when you're satisfied and not overeat, you need to develop stop eating cues. It's like training a dog to go potty. So I got a new puppy a few years ago. Her name is Coco. I want to show you a picture of her. She's so cute. Anyway, she was so hard to get her to go potty. Potty training was a nightmare with her. But we hired a personal trainer, a dog trainer, her name was Dory. And she said that dogs need cues to learn to relate to certain things and new behaviors. The cues can be like signals, gestures, or sounds. So, for example, to make Coco stay, we held up our hand and said, stay. To potty train a dog, Dory told us to put a bell by the back door. And every time we would have Coco go outside, we'd say, oh, you want to go outside? You want to go potty? We would put her nose in the bell and make her ring it. And this taught Coco that when she needed to go potty, she should ring the bell to let us know. It's the same thing with our bodies. We need cues to help us to stop feeding our bodies. Since I have trouble knowing when to stop eating, I have ways to signal my body to kind of go, up, it's time to stop. Now, one is like chewing a piece of gum. Number 2 would be brushing your teeth. That's a big one. Number 3 is having a cup of regular coffee, decaf coffee, a cup of tea. One of my girlfriends says that she drinks 5 cups of different types of tea, like decaf tea per day. And she says she would be 10 pounds heavier if she didn't have those 5 cups of tea each day. Now, flee the scene of the food. This is so important. I never eat in my bedroom. So my bedroom's upstairs and I never eat up there. I've just trained my body when it's time for bed or time for rest or time to go upstairs, I just do not eat. So I have to go straight upstairs when I'm feeling like I'm about to eat, when I'm not truly hungry, or when it's time to stop. Coffee is a really good way to end your meal, but you just have to be really careful because, I mean, a coffee from like one of the popular coffee shops, I think you know which ones I'm talking about, can have up to 48 grams of sugar. Have your coffee, have a little bit of cream if you need it, but on a tiny bit of coconut sugar or no sugar or some kind of sugar-free flavoring. Now, the next thing is to savor your food. The best thing you can do to help you decide when to stop eating is to just savor your food. I'd love for you to listen to what some of these thin eaters do to really savor. It's really unbelievable how they eat. So let's watch them. I personally love chocolate mousse. This is something I actually really know how to savor. Some things, I'm going to be honest, I don't savor. I just will eat too fast. But this is one that I do a pretty good job on. So what I do is I take razor thin slices and my goal is to just skim the top of it, get all that, like the whipped cream first, and then I'll dip a little bit with chocolate. Whipped cream is my favorite part. So I want you to hear my friend, Catherine, talk about how she eats Skittles. She doesn't just sit down and take the whole bag of Skittles and throw them back into her mouth. She takes every single Skittle and does it individually, and she even tries to guess what flavor the Skittle is. So let's listen to her as she discusses it. Next tip, use a hunger snack or a hunger drink to keep you satisfied. So a hunger drink, sometimes you can actually think you're hungry, but you're actually thirsty. The hunger drink is a water with a splash of lemon or fresh squeezed lime or fresh squeezed orange juice. I know one girl, Missy, who she'll have a glass of orange juice with half water every morning, and she does it with water. And that's her hunger drink. But most of the time, the hunger drink has less sugar than that. She's kind of one of the odd ones that does have 50% water and 50% orange juice. But most of them have this much juice and they have a lot more water. Just try to see if that hunger drink will help you. Another one is hot tea. Like I told you before, my friend Jennifer, she says she's drinking 4 to 5 cups of hot tea. And she said if she wasn't having 4 to 5 glasses of that tea every day, she'd be 10 pounds heavier. So her hunger drink is hot tea, and she loves Pau d'Arco, which is supposed to help you cure your sugar cravings. And in the afternoons, if I want something sweet, I will drink that Pau d'Arco instead of a snack, and it really takes the sugar edge off. Now, a hunger snack. As you know, I've interviewed different women, and all of them have had they aren't all the same on the hunger snacks. They're all over the map. So I say, what do you do? Now, my mom, if you ask her what her hunger snack is, she literally in her bag always, I've never seen her without it. She's always got dry roasted almonds with no oil or walnuts or cashews. And literally within 30 minutes of before it's about lunch, she pulls out this bag of walnuts, and she's got different kinds. Like she'll have walnuts, she'll have almonds, she'll have cashews, and she'll be like, who wants almonds? Who wants walnuts? Who wants pistachios? I mean, she literally sounds like the people at the baseball games, like peanuts, soda, popcorn. She sounds just like them. And she says it to everyone in the car. So I would say at least 50% of the people I interviewed carry some sort of hunger snack with them. Now, others were like, no, I don't need it. When I'm hungry, I just keep moving forward. So that's up to you. It's great to have. One of my friends, Kim, she carries crackling oat brand cereal with her at times, or some kind of fruit. So she kind of has, why don't we listen in on what some of the different hunger snacks are?
So I try to find something that is around 100 calories or less, generally with high protein, and that would be my get me through it snack if I'm truly that hungry, and I'm generally not that hungry at 11:30. Okay, so my go-to get me through it drinks, if I just need to tide myself over and I'm feeling a little on the hungry side would either be a latte with whole milk, or pomegranate juice currently is a drink of choice, or a kombucha.
So, I mean, generally when I wake up in the morning, I'm at a 1, approaching a 0. So coffee with cream helps tremendously. And that's kind of my go-to in the morning. And that keeps me till midday. When I try not to let the hunger go too far. The hungrier I get, the less likely I am to make good choices about what I do eat. Maybe I'll just end up grabbing the first thing I see, a bag of chips, and eating, too much of it. And then I feel like garbage. And so I try when I'm at about a 2 to eat my first meal.
Next tip, don't drink your calories. Now, they do drink some of their calories, but don't drink your calories outside of your eating window. That's really, really important. I'm not big on drinking my calories, but I have a ton of super thins that do. For them, it comes mostly from wines and mixed drinks. But if you keep it in your eating window, that's fine. But I'm trying to tell you to stay far away from too much soda.
If I'm going to drink my calories, again, aside from coffee, it's going to be a smoothie. And that's not going to be in addition to a sandwich or, something else. That the smoothie will be my meal. I have smoothies a lot for lunch, actually. And I can throw tons of spinach and chia seeds and flaxseed. I normally do almond milk, coconut milk, combo for the liquid, and just frozen fruit. Sometimes I will do, probably the most caloric thing I put in there is I'll throw some peanut butter or almond butter in them sometimes, but, they're filling. So, but that would be the meal. Yeah.
One of my tips is, as much as I can, I try not to drink my calories. So I don't really do orange juice. I don't do milk. I don't do iced tea. And I feel like I could save a lot of calories throughout the day by just doing that. So as long as I drink water instead of all those other options, I feel like you can really cut back calories.
Did you know that a can of soda has 10 teaspoons of sugar or more, depending on how much you drink? I mean, that's insane. 10 teaspoons of sugar. Imagine just taking sugar and sugar and sugar. And on top of that, it's not even real sugar. You're drinking high fructose corn syrup. This is a chemical derived from corn syrup, and you can find it in bread, yogurt, crackers, cookies. It stands for HFCS. It's high fructose corn syrup. I'm going to tell you right now, get it out of your diet. Just do not eat it. It's huge chemical. Just get rid of it. Now, be on the lookout for artificial sweeteners like aspartame, saccharin, sucralose. I am such an anti-chemical person.
So when I'm craving sugar, which I have to say is rare, I think initially it was hard. And so in the initial periods of avoiding sugar, the cravings, the best thing is cinnamon on an apple. There is something in that snack that cures a sugar craving for me like no other. It's got all of the qualities of a cinnamon toast, but then you've got that filling fiber from the apple. So I think that's when I'm craving sugar. And now I would consider an apple sugar. That's how much I don't crave sugar anymore. Is an apple to me would be sweet enough. A banana is what I used to consider ice cream.
Well, I think also what some people don't realize is when your body's so used to such a high sugar intake, that's what you're craving and that's what's going to satisfy you. But over time, if you start slowly cutting that out, your body's going to respond to that. And the things that you used to think were normal sweet level, now they're going to feel way over sweet. So I think even just focusing on kind of cutting back a little bit to begin with, and then afterwards things will, like I said, taste sweeter. So I mean, a banana has, I forget, but it's 27 grams of sugar, which people wouldn't think that because it's fruit, it's healthy. But sugar content really has a lot to do with gaining weight. So that's one thing that I do try to focus on. So I mean, maybe taking a few banana slices or strawberry slices and putting it over non-fat yogurt, like I said, it might not sound like an ice cream sundae right away, but once you really start cutting out some of that sugar, it's gonna really satisfy that sugar craving.
Next tip, eat only half or quarters. So try to do everything you can to try to cut your food in half or cut it in quarters. When I've gone to eat with thin eaters, one of the things they do is to order off the appetizer menu. If you look at the interview with Kim, she talks about how her lunches are usually smaller and how she'll order off the appetizer menu. Let's watch that now. One of my friends, Allison, that I used to work with, she would cut her sandwiches in half. She would bring her sandwiches all the time into work. I worked at William E. Wood at the mall. And she would cut her sandwiches in half, and then she would give her husband, Bob, half, and then she would take half. And she used to be heavier, and she said, I used to eat my whole sandwich. Now I don't. And she's very thin. And she said, I only eat half the sandwich. Now, I want to tell you just a little bit about how Allison made the sandwich. She literally, we had a toaster, and so she would make this turkey sandwich. She would have this really nice, amazing bread. We had a toaster oven in the office. She'd put that in. She would make this gorgeous one with avocado, sprouts, tomato, cucumber, fresh turkey, a little bit of spinach. I mean, she wasn't just throwing turkey on there. It was really good, but she only ate half, but she made that half super amazing. Now, think about it. If you're going to cut your food in half or in quarters, it's easier to eat the sandwich. It makes it not so messy, and it lets you eat more of the inside of the sandwich that tastes better, and it just makes it where you're going to eat half or at least try to eat 3/4.
Well, I think too, that goes back to the portion control, because when you put a certain amount of food on your plate, you just kind of have the idea that you need to finish it. So I think it goes back to just putting those smaller portions originally, because there'll be times where I'm eating, I'm satisfied, but there's still a few bites left where, can I eat those? Yeah, of course, but then I'm going to feel stuffed.
So to help myself not overeat, I usually just think about portions, and we've had to work a lot with our daughter, teaching her about portions. So it's kind of practice what you preach thing in our house. So I think that's the main point that I make.
How much of that salad do you think you're going to eat?
Probably half of what's left.
Are you going to eat those 2 shrimp? Those are for you. Save those for you.
I'll eat one of them, but I don't know if I can eat both of them.
I love salad, so for a typical lunch, I will probably go to Salad Works and get a salad with steak or shrimp or chicken. I will normally eat probably 3/4 of it, but I won't really finish the whole salad.
Well, when it comes to eating at home, I would say I'm pretty good about just getting the appropriate portion to begin with, so I don't get stuck in that problem. But when I go out to eat, if it's a huge salad or a huge bowl of pasta or whatever it is, sometimes I'll actually have the waiter bring me a to-go box right in the beginning. I'll package half of it up, and then I'm excited because I have a whole meal for lunch tomorrow or something, and then also I just know what I'm going to eat on my plate.